I remember when I was in my teens, I could go down to the Palmer House and see black men with badges of honor in terms of their years of service as waiters and stuff. And I could make me $150 in a day busting tables in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, right? At the Palmer House and any number of African-American hotels. Go down there today, and what you're going to see is Hispanics have taken our industry. We were the originators of service. The motto of the Pullman Port of Mules was service, not servitude. And if you go to any foreign country, you go to Jamaica, all of those countries understand the tourism industry very clearly and how it's a tool for economic empowerment. If this is an $11.5 million industry that created 32,000 jobs, that funds the McCormick Place and the Chicago Convention and Tourism Bureau with our tax dollars, where are our fair share of those jobs? And that's a question directly to Ken Duncan, who heads up the tourism initiative for the city of Chicago. Where are those jobs? Where are those resources? What groups are getting those money? Specifically, let's talk about the 2016 fund, which was supposed to build an infrastructure in anticipation of winning the Olympics, right? Since we didn't win the Olympics, the question is, how is the South Lakefront going to be redeveloped? And what is the timeline on that? Well, we say it needs to be developed regionally, that the South Lakefront is, and a matter of fact, our MoMA in Paris, and I'll say that again, so I can take it out of the box of thinking inside the box and think outside the box. MoMA in Paris was our sojourn over to Paris in the 1920s when Bricktop, the one with the bananas, Josephine Baker, Sidney Bechet, and other prominent black musicians literally owned the clubs and the restaurants in that part of Paris, and really during that period were very wealthy and self-sufficient in creating that environment. We talk about Black Wall Street, and we're in partnership with Black Wall Street and CMAC, the Chicago Area Mapping Program. We are literally going to take our model for Brownsville and lend it to people in Woodlawn. Lend it to people in South Shore. Lend it to people in Auburn Gresham. Lend it to people in Chatham, so that they can use that model to create tourism as a tool to draw traffic to their communities and sell their high quality products and services. It's important to us that the commercial business strips from the bottom up of 35th Street, 43rd Street, 51st Street, Garfield Boulevard, the original Black Wall Street from 18th Street all the way through to 55th Street on State Street, 75th Street, 79th, the node is 79th Exchange. We have to look at those commercial business strips, design businesses for the vacant storefronts, tied to the anchor businesses there as attractions, and really generate a sense of our community and how we're going to shop with each other. In the same 1930s, we had a rule that if you couldn't work there, don't shop there. Don't spend your money where you can't work. The Double Duty Dollar campaign of the Supreme Life Insurance Company. These were all marketing strategies that we utilized to keep the resources in our community, let those dollars go around, direct those dollars around to each other's businesses, create a form of sustainability, and build a tax base. So we're on point in doing the work that we should be doing as a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And in many cases, our funds have been diverted to politically connected organizations who are basically have a gang operation as their basic service. So it is both corruption of our own elected officials, not all. Some of our elected officials have compromised the integrity of our communities traditionally over a long period of time, and we can go into that from a sociological and anthropological point of view, create some workshops about it, and talk about it inclusively. The bottom line is, it is time for our economic emancipation. It's time for the African American community to have parity with the lakefront and with the north side communities. And if you look at the South Lakefront, the 13th legislative district, where we're working with Senator Kwame Raoul to launch a heritage area planning initiative for the entire lakefront to be able to create new businesses that can take our kids off the corner, make them gainfully employed, put them on career paths to higher education and economic self-sufficiency, and reinstate the black male out of that process as head of household. If you don't have a male in a household, you got the generational effect of 3 generations of a matriarchic family structure. That chaos is obvious in terms of how you see what's going on in our community. Our young ladies are preoccupied with material things. Our young men are all only concentrating on what is the dollar. What is the work that goes behind building anything of any substance, right? If it's not about a commitment to building something for the future and building something for the next generation. That's my question to these young people now who's talking about, just show me where the money is. The money don't come. The money comes from the struggle. I've been at this for 30 years and I still don't have a solid paycheck in terms of sustaining the work that we've done. And we've proven that we are the most effective heritage, African-American focused heritage tourism organization, not only in the city of Chicago, state of Illinois, but I submit you in the entire nation.
Mr. Lucas, as you well know, the masses are led by leadership. And you just mentioned that some of our leadership, probably most, are corrupt and self-serving. So where's the leadership? Who's going to stand up and is going to demand something of the mayor and our president to put some dollars on the south side, not to move us out, but to move us back and make this neighborhood flourish as it is on the north side?
No question. I think that the meeting that Tavis called at Chicago State was an activity of the Commonwealth among the black community. It was an early morning meeting on a Saturday morning in a kind of a blizzard atmosphere 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That drew close to 5,000 people for the discussion.
Right.
Now, it happened on an urban campus in the heart of the south side of Chicago. And on that urban campus right now, you're seeing a fight between the establishment and the black arts movement.
That's Hakeem Adabute.
Hakeem Adabute's unceremonious dismissal from that university is an indication of the ensconced leadership that's tied to the Daley regime in the city of Chicago, destroying authentic black leadership.
That's Wayne Watson.
That's Wayne Watson.
Right. But let me I'm behind the camera. I got to say this. I have never interviewed, this sounds mean, I never interviewed Hakeem Adabute because I met him once, sort of met him. He seemed so arrogant. Then I went to his office. I asked for an interview, got no response. I've emailed and called Wayne Watson's office. I met him in Whole Foods years ago. No response. No offense to these great people. They great in their own. They're arrogant. Our leadership are arrogant and self-serving. Both of those brothers. They are great in their own respects and they're arrogant. And this is why our kids are killing each other. Because people like them. I'm sorry to get on the soapbox.
But I would wholeheartedly agree with you in terms of the stratification within the black community. That the established leadership is, without a doubt,
that's right,
extremely arrogant and superior to the masses.
That's right.
Right? And as long as it doesn't affect me and my quality of life, then I'm fine with the level of oppression that the masses of black people are experiencing on the South Lakefront of Chicago and the west side of Chicago. Right? And the fact that the north end of the black belt has been systematically over the last 10 years regentified by the systematic removal of 3 out of 4 African Americans to make it safe for white people to come back in and re-inhabit the South Lakefront of Chicago.